The devil works hard, but Elon must work harder. I got on TikTok yesterday and I saw a bunch of videos of people saying how we are supposed to receive a bunch of new Afrikaners. I hope I'm saying it right. But a bunch of white people who are in Africa are coming in as refugees. So I was like, hold on. Let me open the comment section and see what's happening. I opened the comment sections. A bunch of white Africans, as well as South Africans, they are in the comments saying, what are y'all talking about? Refugees. These people are not refugees. They are not experiencing any racism in South Africa. Because that's what the story is. That's what the Trump administration is saying, is that these people that are coming to America, they're flying in tonight. They're coming in tomorrow. They're saying that they are fleeing South Africa because they are experiencing racism from the black Africans there. When I tell you 2025 is 2025ing, because I don't have any other words. So we're about to have a bunch of Elon Musk coming in here. But I do want them to know that this ain't no South Africa. So y'all gonna be learning a whole lot of new things. I'm just gonna leave it as that.
It's Joe from Georgia. So Donald Trump earlier this year stopped letting refugees come into the United States. However, undoubtedly he's making an exception. He's making an exception for white residents of South Africa to come in refugee status here in the United States. They've even got their first plane load coming, which the United States government has arranged for them. Now, I do believe that most of us, when they say the word immigrants or refugees or whatever, they think of everybody. But now it's been reduced to an exception for white people only. So, once again, if we don't believe that this immigration war specifically is against black and brown people, you're not paying attention.
Last night I made a post about how Trump is using our federal tax dollars to fly South Afrikaners here under refugee status. And when I made the video, I was like, I don't think these people are actual refugees because they're white South Africans and they have, what did I say, 3 times more wealth than the brown and black people that live in South Africa. And this comment caught me, like, I almost allowed myself to get wrapped up in this word refugee because I do teach refugees English. And so I didn't want to minimize anyone's experience if they were if they were actual refugees. But then I realized they're not. What's happening is these white people are the same as that Lily Gaddis bitch, right? They're saying they're getting persecuted racially because they're white and they can't be as racist as they want. So they're coming here where they can be more racist and as racist as they want because we have a president who allows that. They're not refugees. They're just spoiled white people who want to be racist. So Trump is flying them here, paying for their housing and their transportation, whatever else they need, and treating them like kings and queens on our dollar for no reason other than to create more white supremacy in this country. And who knows who these people are? They're definitely friends of Elon's. They definitely have a lot of money, which means they definitely have a way to make this country more fascist and more right-wing and more racist. And that's what's happening. So I appreciate this person, Luke, writing this comment because you kind of snapped me back into like, these people are not refugees at all. And I need to make that clear. Thank you. Fuck Donald Trump.
Hello guys, how you doing? So 49 Afrikaners left for the United States of America as refugees. how did South Africa move from 2010 World Cup host, beautiful, 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 to a refugee source nation? Source nation for refugees. I think what this whole situation has done is really to tarnish the image of South Africa on a global scale. To tarnish the image of South Africa on a global scale, I think has been the net effect of this whole thing and the whole strategy behind this whole thing. So these refugees apparently, their process has taken 3 months. Other refugees apparently take 18 months, 12 months, 18 months, 36 months to get finalized. But these ones, 3 months to get finalized, and it's something. It's something. But we're in beautiful South Africa, sunny, people enjoying, people swimming, people enjoying what they're doing. But others are saying they're refugees. It's quite interesting.
I know every time you see my face, you're like, girl, what you got now? Sit down. I've got more news and information that you can use. The Trump administration is planning to soon receive the first group of white South African refugees it says deserve a safe haven in the U.S. because of alleged racial discrimination in post-apartheid South Africa. Government documents obtained by CBS News are actually showing the initial arrival of the South African refugees could happen as early as next week, according to the documents, which describe the effort as a, quote, stated priority for the Trump administration. Officials have planned a Monday press event at Dulles International Airport in Virginia to welcome the group, the documents show. Although sources familiar with the effort told CBS News the timing of the plan could actually change. So in February, some of you all must remember, President Trump issued an executive order directing officials to use the U.S. refugee program to resettle Afrikaners, an ethnic group in South Africa made up of descendants of European colonists, mostly from the Netherlands. The president claimed that Afrikaners faced government-sponsored race-based discrimination, citing a law that U.S. conservatives like South African-born Elon Musk have said allow racially motivated seizures of land owned by white South Africans. South Africa's government has strongly denied any land confiscations or racially motivated discrimination. The hastily arranged initiative to welcome Afrikaners stands in stark contrast to the Trump administration's move to ban most other refugees from entering the U.S. One of Trump's first actions after returning to the White House was suspending the American Refugee Admissions Program, stranding thousands of approved refugees who had been identified as vulnerable individuals fleeing violence and persecution in Africa, Asia, and other parts of the world. For more news and information that you can use, head over to brownstoneworldwide.com, Cityscape Radio, and you guessed it, get your free issue of Brownstone Living magazine. We'll see you around.
They only want white people here, because when we think about refugees who need immediate resettlement, expedited screenings, we usually think about people who are fleeing extreme violence, persecution, famine, war in places like South Sudan, Myanmar, the Congo, not white Afrikaners. See that chartered plane the Trump administration is sending? It's not going to collect refugees that have been sitting in resettlement camps for years, fully vetted, waiting to come to the United States to escape violence. No, it's going to South Africa to collect white people who claim they're being discriminated against. Why would they be getting discriminated against? Probably because they spent generations instituting legalized forms of racial segregation and discrimination called apartheid, aka Stephen Miller's wet dream. See, while the rest of the world after World War II saw that maybe racial discrimination not such a hot idea and favored more policies of integration and away from colonization, Afrikaners doubled down on that shit and instituted apartheid. Although it ended over 30 years ago, the social and economic legacies of apartheid genocide continue today. South Africa is the most unequal country in the entire world, according to the World Bank, with white South Africans earning over 12 times what black South Africans do. But don't worry, we're going to make sure that the white Afrikaners who instituted generations of discrimination and segregation against black people get everything they need to get started here in the United States in their new life.
So this is part two, because I have to continue and finish what I was saying, but it's not going to take this whole 10 minutes. So we haven't resettled anyone. So these people are being settled here, and it's going to destabilize, and it is going to, with the SAPC having 33,000 33,000 resettlement applications that they are processing and vetting on their end to forward through to the CIA and then the State Department for resettlement here. The first batch is 8,000 that will happen rapidly. 33,000 over a year is a long. 8,000 is actually untenable if you're not going to get rid of a portion of the population. 33,000 is absolutely unconscionable, but it will be demographic destruction in this country. And you can think that this is dramatic all you want. It's unfortunate that Americans have no education or no historical, not everybody, but no historical really knowledge on this matter, considering it is the literal product of this country's existence. But because these victims are coming, the fucking Jews weren't being persecuted like it was being fleshed out that they were being persecuted when the Zionist entity was created. And how was it created and came about was by forcing them into destabilized and eventual persecution. And it wasn't going to result in them being in camps and then massacred to the degree that they were. None of this 6 million crap, but like it happened. And it was largely because of needing to flee extreme persecution that had been constantly happening. The Afrikaners live like fucking kings. In fact, I'm going to upload a video that I have that someone sent me of 2 Afrikaners jumping on a black South African public works guy for doing work on their street of their beautiful homes, and they did nothing wrong. They're just pissed at the time in which this project is happening on their street. Fucking just said, I'm gonna fucking shoot you, and went and got the fucking gun. It's like he's like begging them, sir. Like, it's blowing my mind because I have not seen that. Like, it's crazy. I know that's wild, but this shit is like, these people are just, and so, I don't want to confuse everybody, but that shit is, like, it is exactly the way it happened with the Zionists, who are from all over Europe, just like Afrikaners are. They're from the Netherlands and Germany and Poland and yada, 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 yada. They're just called Afrikaners where they went instead of Zionists where the other ones went. Peter Thiel was born in Germany too, and at a very early age moved to South Africa. And Kawinky Dinkley met Elon Musk, and they grew up together along with some other fucking fascist technocrat rich person. All of this shit is connected. And so now you have a settler project in every single way happening, and even with the lie, it's just not being communicated to the people that are already where the settlers are coming to, like it has been before in times past. And if I was like someone like Donald Trump or the state, I would be like, these bitches have every means of technology that has never existed for informing themselves, and they don't even do that. We don't need to tell them, inform them anything, because they're not going to do anything anyway. But it was never, ever supposed to be welcoming settler projects into your land. And these are not refugees. These are not people coming here to now. South African population tends to think that they are going to get up here and realize it's not as good as they think it's going to be because it's more expensive, they say, and stuff. But they're not taking into account, because it's just not public information, that these people are coming here and their entire life is funded for a year. There will be demographics, it's going to destabilize the demographic table in the United States. And it's going to, I mean, you just should go into my post and look at it's like 3 or 4 novels worth of comments. And their position on how it is, the racist element is kind of what I'm worried about, because you have, Black Americans, just Black people here, and that is a dynamic situation, and it's just going to happen the way it's going to happen. But I'm not feeling this at all, and I am. It's like I don't want to be a fucking Palestinian, where I'm not saying there's going to be ethnic cleansing and forced expulsion, but there will be 20,000 more ICE agents in 60 days than there are now, at least. Because they're expanding, and they say this in the executive order, they're expanding the scope of the detainments and deportations. 3 people born in the United States in Minnesota today, in a mall, were violently arrested and detained in a detention center. One was a toddler and her mother, because plainclothes ICE agents overheard them speaking Spanish. These people were all born in the United States, and they wouldn't listen. They drugged them out of this mall to a detention center, and the grandmother was able to holler and get one's attention and basically say, listen, we are fucking from here. What are you doing? And made them get all of this verifiable information and documentation, because they wouldn't tell them anything. They just drugged them out of the mall. And they said, our bad, we overheard you speaking Spanish. It was a toddler was one of them, a 2-year fucking old toddler. You are dragging people out of a mall because you heard them speaking Spanish? There's nobody on a wanted list for any sort of violation that's named speaking Spanish in a mall or whatever. And you wouldn't listen to them. This is fucking goon squad shit. Like, I mean, they said, our bad, we heard you speaking Spanish. And they let them go. And so then I was like, wait, how many? And so I looked up how many people have they deported. So since the middle of January, they are saying they have deported 130,000 people already. 130,000? That's wild. Friday, they tried twice to deport people to Libya, Lebanon, and Guatemala. These 3 governments refused one time, twice after the plane got in the air. None of these people that they were deporting to these 3 countries, all of which are in a state of destabilization, civil war, or failed state status. Libya is in a civil war and a failed state. Guatemala is fucking chaos. And Lebanon, as we know, the Jews are fucking eating it like a fucking sugar cube. None of these people that they were deporting or trying to deport were from there. One girl was born here. She was a teenager, had no association with Libya, didn't even know what it was. They were going to drop these people off in these places. This is fucking not supposed to be happening. And so it's happening. They're just dragging people off. The minute they suspend habeas corpus, if you aren't fucking shooting shit that's coming to get you, it's getting you. And it's going to take everything it wants, and it's going to throw it away. Because these people are coming here because they were selected by the president for their extremist ideology and the color of their skin. And its alignment with his policy, his politics, and his preference. And it's all preferenced and encased in the lie that they are simultaneously repeating as the ones that are coming here. Even had one come in the comments and say that Black South Africans are bleaching themselves and that they are rotting their skin. That's the fucking shit's not happening. They're like, I just need to get out of here. And this is literally the settler project as I've read about it in every history book. And I'm going to end it there.
For anyone who has any problems with refugees, I do not want to hear you talk about the South African white refugees and be like, they're coming here legally, it's fine, because their own government even says that they are not vetted. While Donald Trump says that they are completely vetted, that's 100% untrue, according to the South African government. They also said that the people that claim that they are being genocided are actually pro-apartheid, and that's why they're moving to the United States. And they're saying straight up that it is a move for political advantage. The South African government also came out and said that it's really ironic that Trump is allowing the most economically privileged people from around the world to enter the United States while denying the most vulnerable people who are trying to immigrate to the United States. Like, let's be clear here. These people are becoming refugees to the United States specifically because they are upset that people are upset in South Africa, that they are pro-apartheid. And yet Donald Trump will not accept any refugees that are actually coming here for detrimental circumstances. Again, it's just racism. That's all it is. The Trump administration is set to fly in tens of thousands of South African white people to the United States as refugees next week. And yet Kilmar Abrego Garcia sits in an El Salvadorian prison for what? For what? Things that you couldn't prove. If you don't remember, back in January 20th, Trump signed an executive order basically stating, we don't want to bring in any more refugees. We're not bringing in any more refugees. Although we know that executive orders don't hold legal weight and it's more than a statement. This is definitely contradicting, isn't it? Well, it's not, because he's a racist. A racist goes against his own actual public statement saying that we can't accept more refugees, but constantly tries to kick out any brown person or any non-white person in this country because of their refugee status, even if they're here legally or not. Now, we know Elon Musk is from South Africa, of course, but he added to this conversation in saying that Africa has not done well at stopping racism and overall violence towards white farmers in Africa. I wonder why. It couldn't be because of the apartheid. Huh? It couldn't be because you made them slaves. This is just another I am outside and I am a racist agenda from Donald Trump, and he proves it in real time. He does not care what he contradicts.
I've been telling all of my friends and family that anything you want for Christmas, to get it right now, especially if you're buying for children. If you are buying any baby products at all, get them while they're here because they're going to be gone.
After a decade serving in the Army, stationed in Bosnia, Kuwait, Iraq, and beyond, she started Busy Baby, a Minnesota company that designs and sells placemats and utensils for babies and toddlers.
The purpose of all of our products is to keep babies' things off the ground. So it started with the Busy Baby mat. It suctions down to your high chair.
All her products are made in China.
April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed.
And now those products are subject to President Trump's 145% tax on Chinese imports.
We have 3 months worth of products sitting at the factory. And now, in order to get it here, we need $230,000 on top of what we've already paid for the product just to get it in the country.
Can you afford that?
Oh, God, no.
So what do you do?
First, I sat on my kitchen floor and cried. And when I was on the floor in the kitchen, my son came in to show me something or tell me something, and he saw me sitting there crying.
Your 8-year-old.
My 8-year-old son. And he put his arms around me and just hugged me. And I realized I'm not going to let him see this. This is not what we're going to be.
The tariffs hit just after Beinecke struck a deal to sell Busy Baby products at Target and Walmart. To produce enough inventory, she took out a loan from the Small Business Administration.
That loan is partially SBA financed and then partially leveraged against my house. So if I can't stay in business and pay those loans, I lose the house.
To all of the South African Afrikaans refugees that are coming to America soon, I just want to let you know, as someone whose wife is Afrikaans, who's been to South Africa multiple times, you're going to have a bad time. There's no white genocide happening in South Africa. You have crime that's happening as a result of racism-fueled generational economic inequality, the same thing that's happening in America. We're just a couple decades ahead of you on the unchecked capitalism timeline. But I have good news for you. You don't have to worry about the cheap exploited labor rising up against you anymore, because now that you're in America, you'll get to be the cheap exploited labor. If you were middle class or upper middle class in South Africa and you come to America, you're poor now. Like, really poor. You're not going to have maids and gardeners and personal servants that you can pay $15 a day for. Now you get to be the cheap labor. But by all means, please come to America and experience the American capitalism that Elon Musk's been raving about to you. You'll probably love it. You know, what do I know? There's probably very little chance that you'll end up going back to South Africa in a year or two after realizing how overpriced and fucked up America is. I wouldn't even worry about that as a possibility. And if you think I'm being mean to these people because I think they're a bunch of racist, bigoted colonizers who wish they could go back to apartheid South Africa, it's just because I do think that. But to them, I say, welcome to the American dream. Please let me know when you've woken up from it.
So the current administration is allowing 8,000 South African refugees, white South African refugees, to come into the country. They are sending private jets to pick these refugees up. Starting Monday, the first batch of refugees will be coming into the United States. My thing is that I thought that they put a pause or halt to folks putting in application or applications for refugee status in the United States. And also, they are deporting refugees. How is it that you're deporting refugees at the same time, but you're sending private planes on taxpayers' dime to pick up these South African refugees? None of this makes sense at all.
So, starting yesterday, the U.S. is receiving its first batch of white South African nationals that have been extended the privilege of coming to the United States as refugees from South Africa. This first batch is 8,000 of these people. So the American people didn't want this, don't want this. It's crazy because when Donald Trump took office, he discontinued almost entirely the refugee program. And there were like 22,000 people from different countries seeking refugee status and in the process of receiving denial or approval for the refugee status to reside in the United States due to issues in their country, which are always based and caused by, no matter what they are, the destabilization that the United States and the West has caused at some point, some way. Donald Trump discontinued this program almost entirely and threw all of these 20-something thousand people back to their countries. You come to the United States as a refugee because you're fleeing political persecution or ethnic persecution, political blah, 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 forms of persecution. These Afrikaners are not being racially discriminated against, but I will tell you something, and I hope this is not taken the wrong way. I worked in South Africa in 2017 and 2018 for their National Assembly, and I was able to meet some of these characters because they have a party in the parliament there called the Refuge something first party. It's a minority party, and their party fundamentals are based on the party is based on two fundamentals, okay? These are very racist people. The most racist shit I have ever heard in my life come out of these people's mouths. And the fundamentals of their party, their politics, is the staunch opposition to affirmative action and the staunch opposition to Black economic empowerment. These people are descendants of the colonialists from the Netherlands. They came into South Africa in 1948 and before that, really. and stole all of the land. So they make up like 13% of the population in South Africa, and they own like 95% of the land. Like literally one person will have 20 or 25,000 acres that they and their lineage stole. And they are colonialist minded to this day. They are slave mentality, like slave owning mentality. They are, they exist in South Africa, and black people are not allowed where they live unless they have a permit for work, like a housemaid or something. And they're the cause for South Africa being one of the most unequal countries in the world, according to the World Bank, to this day. And while apartheid ended in 1990, you wouldn't know it going to South Africa by the way that the black people, the black South Africans, are treated versus these jackasses. And that is what they are. They are fucking ignorant, evil people. I mean, they call themselves Boers and shit like that. I'm telling you, the stuff that they say, and it's like every single one of them that I met that are almost 200 of them in this party. I didn't work for this party. This party is just in the assembly. All are like that. Like they are like in their regular conversation are like, black people don't have no intelligence. And this is the shit they say all the time, right? And it's why there's racial divide in South Africa like it is, because this minority still has a grip. So Donald Trump, at the behest of Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, with their insistence that these particular group of white people are facing racial discrimination because the National Assembly, the government of South Africa, has enacted a land back policy, which is technically expropriation without compensation, which you stole the land. You don't need to be compensated to have one person, and they will tell you, we worked hard for this land. You didn't work this is what they believe. And it's 20,000 acres, and one person will tell you that his grandfather worked hard for the land. His grandfather came from Israel and the Netherlands and stole the land by murdering the people that had it for generations. And these people that are coming to the United States, I do not like them. And nobody else is going to like them. They're not coming here because they are under oppression. They are coming here with a sense of entitlement and their wealth, and for a reason. But as they're being provided refugee status only as the exception to the rule, everyone else, no one gets this status ever again because the program is being discontinued. For 12 months at least, they have housing completely paid for. They have all of their food, all of their clothing, all of their amenities, cell phones, and travel vouchers. In some cases, even they will be provided vehicles. Guess who pays for all of that when it comes down to the bottom sifting? U.S. taxpayer funds are who get those funds are derived from U.S. taxpayer funds. When everybody was yapping about the people that like Florida and Texas was flying to New York, the migrants last year and the year before that, and they were saying they're getting vouchers and they're getting free food and subsidies, and they weren't. Well, these 8,000 plus are going to get all of that for at least a year. And then after a year, they'll be able to change their status to permanent legal resident. And now half of the Afrikaners have an issue with coming to the United States as a refugee. But the ones that understand the agenda are the ones that are coming. And they're coming with entitlement, and they're coming with wealth. And it's going to cause racial division. I'm just being straight up with you. These Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Peter Thiel do not have any fucking good, genuine interest in the well-being of anyone, much less South African white people. And I'm just telling you that Zionism is all in it. Zionism and Nazism were in South Africa at the end of apartheid in 1990, deeper than what Nazism was at the height of Nazi Germany in the 30s and 40s. And we can't forget that in 1994, 4 years after apartheid ended, in the year that the first democratic election took place, conservatives in the U.S. Congress were wearing ribbons that said "Hang Mandela." And so this is the mentality of people that are coming here. And they have existed and maintained their apartheid mentality, and all that truth and reconciliation was just like denazification. It was all a sham and a show. And so these people are coming here, and they're going to get U.S. taxpayer funded privilege for a year. Meanwhile, we're deporting U.S. citizens. We are at the threshold of suspending the writ of habeas corpus. Due process is something that is scoffed at. There are more homeless people now than ever before, including children who are without house, without food, without electricity, without running water. But these privileged white racist MFers are coming here under the guise of a refugee so that everything is funded, but for a different agenda than what is being let on to the American people. And largely, the American people don't even know anything about this happening. But the administration is so about it that they're going to Dulles Airport with a welcoming ceremony with a flock of government officials. So this is, the Jews are all in South Africa with the Afrikaners, training them to be snipers in an anticipation for this conflict over this land back measure that they do believe will escalate into a conflict at some point in the future. So I don't think that Americans should be welcoming to these people. I know that sounds, to some people on the surface of it, it might sound immature. And we don't want any of that racist shit here. We are dealing with our shit, but you will see when these people are here and it's attention on them that Americans, the American culture on white and black issues will make us look revolutionarily evolved compared to these backwards, knuckle-dragging white supremacists, because they are real white supremacists. They are white supremacist minded. Currently, they are colonialist minded. Currently, they are apartheid minded. Currently, and they are slave master minded currently. And it's going to cause fucking chaos. And that is why I believe they're being brought here.